Hey guys, it's Samantha from Black Nation News. Today I wanted to talk about a few different topics. And first, I want to thank everybody who's been rocking with me so far as I get all these technical difficulties and everything under control and just get used to recording videos on a regular basis. So, the first topic I wanted to talk about, because I'm trying to get more organized here, so I'm not wasting too much time in my videos trying to look for things. But the first topic I wanted to discuss was the last video that I showed you guys with Nipsey Hussle, and I was trying to look for this one video, but this about how he was trying to unite the Crips and the Bloods. So the thing is, a lot of people don't know the history of how the Crips and Bloods came about, and the Crips and Bloods were actually born out of like the Black Panther movement. When those gangs were created originally, it was to protect the Black community because the KKK was actually coming into the Black communities and terrorizing the Black American citizens. And the cops, of course, were not doing anything to protect these people, these innocent people. So the Crips and the Bloods were created almost out of necessity to protect the lives and of those citizens, the Black citizens who were living in those neighborhoods. Um, I believe the government did have something to do with Crips and Bloods probably becoming enemies of each other, because usually the government is playing in the background as far as trying to undermine, discredit, disrupt, as they stated in COINTELPRO FBI paperwork documents. That's ultimately always their goal, is to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. So I do believe they were behind um, them eventually seeing each other as the Crips and Bloods seeing each other as enemies. But before Nipsey Hussle died, he was working extensively to end that rift between the Crips and the Bloods, that beef, because he did have a quote where he said, "There's nothing wrong with gangs. The only thing that's wrong with gangs are the people, the gangs that attack its own people." Because to him, gangs were there to help protect the community. So the funny thing is, like, when people hear that he was a Crip, that he was affiliated, like he was a Crip, they automatically assumed that he was just this gangbanger who was doing like a lot of horrible things. Not to say that he was an angel. I did see interviews where he was, I believe, doing some type of organized crime. I'm not sure about the details, but he was saying he was making a lot of money doing illegal things. So I don't know, if he killed anybody, but like someone said that, but I have not confirmed that information. I don't know that. I don't think so, because I haven't heard it, and I'm pretty sure if he did, we'd all know it. So he was talking about like some of the illegal activity he used to do. But a lot of times, to me, and it's not to always be making excuse for Black people, but I feel like we need to look out for each other and give each other the benefit of the doubt like we would do for a non-Black person. We need to change that mentality where we're so quick to make excuses for non-Black people and people who don't look like us and don't care about us. But then we're so quick to come down hard on someone who looks like us. And I do feel like that is something that is derived from self-hate. So I believe that a lot of Black people don't love who they are. So they're very quick to rip apart another Black person because they're looking at this person as like a reflection of themselves. And if you don't love what you see in the mirror, you're not going to love someone else looking back at you, who looks like you. So for me, I have gone through an entire transformation. I never had self-hate, but I had to go through like a huge transformation of like just wokeness and consciousness and studying Black history, and I had to stop watching mainstream media and just be more, what do you call it, like more careful about what I allow to come into my subconscious and my mind, because a lot of times people don't realize that we're not enslaved physically anymore with shackles unless you're in prison. So that's still happening over there. But we're enslaved through our minds. So it took me years to finally get those chains off. And I mean, when you start to, I actually started my transformation with Hidden Colors, the movies by Tariq Nasheed. And when you start watching those movies and I feel like just from watching those movies and starting to do a little bit of research based on Hidden Colors, the Hidden Colors movies, I started to see the whole world differently. Like I could actually start to see what those movies had discussed, and it's like you open your eyes and suddenly you're seeing this world in a whole set of different like eyes, like with a third eye open, like you're just looking and it's like you suddenly can see everything that Tariq Nasheed was discussing in his documentaries. So this video is the first video I wanted to show was the Nipsey Hussle. He had a tweet that stated that it's a blessing, strong enemies are a blessing, and cryptically that tweet was posted about probably about 30 minutes before he was murdered. So of course a lot of people were wondering like how that tweet tied into his death and what did it have to do with his death. Did it have anything to do with him being murdered? Like, did someone tell him something that made him post that tweet? And they wanted to know, like, who was he referring to? So this video basically discusses that and explains what that tweet was about.
This is the way that Instagram influencers, internet celebrities, and heck, even the housewives and washed-up reality TV show stars make money. Story behind Nipsey Hussle's puzzling tweet right before he passed away. More information has become available for the Nipsey Hussle's passing and the strange tweet. Having strong enemies is a blessing. That's what was typed by Nipsey at 2:52 p.m. And according to reports, the rapper left us around 3:20 p.m. So 22 minutes in between the rapper made that tweet. Now social media and blogs have run wild with conspiracies saying Nip was taken out because of the Dr. Sebi documentary he was going to release. Or they're saying he was tweeting about Eric Holder. And then last but not least, they were talking about him talking about the government that was going to actually take him out and be an enemy. So according to my sources, the rapper was talking about the OG Blood member from across the town of Inglewood by the name of OG Firebug, Centennial's Park family, and he had just come home from doing 10 plus years in the P now. Word around is homie is not to be played with. So according to the story, the two are known to be strong enemies from previous beef between the blue and red side. Somehow, someway, the two ran into each other this past Saturday. The OG from Inglewood walked into a restaurant and Nipsey had his back towards the OG. He was unaware of him. He had to tap Nipsey to get past him, and once he tapped Nipsey, they both went into defensive mode. They both spoke while Nipsey diffused the situation and said he wanted to talk to the OG a little bit longer. The two sat down and Nipsey told Firebug his vision. He wanted all of the high-ranking gang members to sit down and piece out the horrible energy between the sets. This makes sense because Nipsey was going to meet with the police board on Monday. I've been peeping your campaign and pushing for a minute. You don't remember me? We was in the tank together when we first fell. I've been waiting to run into you, he said. You said, let me holler at you after this conversation. We sat in the booth and he said, bro, I got a vision, but I've been needing a person like you who has a voice and a solid mind state. We both acknowledged the fact that we were sworn enemies by gang rights, but we said we were born brothers by essence and said that our meeting would bring controversy. The one who could stand it would be us. Nipsey said, I'm heading to Anaheim real quick. I'm in the studio tonight. Would you mind pulling up? I want to work tonight. I told him to drop the location and I'll pull up alone. He laughed and said, for sure, call you so I'll store the number in my phone. Let's get a flick and mess up the streets. Cold part about it, I'm out with my homies last night and they're supportive about it, but they were skeptical. Then you hit me back checking on me and I knew it was real. I didn't see no red or blue yesterday. I seen Martin and Malcolm and you told me some stuff that I could carry on. You said, bro, I ain't heard a demo out, but I'm telling you, it's your time and I'm going to help. This message gets to Jay Stone and another artist that was signed to Nipsey. He told me you tapped in with them and they spoke highly of me. One love and peace, God. We lost a prophet. Nip Hussle, homage from an Inglewood general. But the two never got the link because Nipsey didn't hit the studio that night. He said sometimes next week him and Bud could connect. So now when you fast forward to Sunday afternoon, the unthinkable happened. Ain't no secret who the last tweet was for. I was the enemy you tweeted about. but we were strong enough to be first to do it. And with that said, and you said it's going to take someone strong enough to stand under the ridicule of what we conceived at the table. RIP, we traded jewels, bro. I'm honored. He put us in a vulnerable setting with the daughter and lady present to see if he was ready to change. You shook my hand and stared at my Malcolm X portrait for 5 minutes long, saying, bro, I've been waiting on you. The woman, when you left, said, I felt like I just witnessed two kings at a sit down, and this was some powerful we was on. The whole place was leaning towards us on God. You said, I have no energy for negative stuff. You told me that more than 3 times. I've been waiting on you. God aligned us yesterday, hours before this tragedy. In that handshake for 5 minutes, you fed me that message, but that was unspoken by the unlooks. We knew what we must be done, and only people who know seems like it was a martyr. Black Lives Matter won't matter to them till it matters to us. R.I.P. Nip, only family. It was love and colossal respect, King. So my guess is Nipsey didn't post the picture on his Instagram because he wanted to post it on Monday after the meeting with the group on Monday. Just from the text messages and the words, it shows that Nipsey wanted to bring the city together and save a lot of people's lives. Maybe Firebird can contribute and continue what Nipsey was planning on doing. What do you guys think? Do you think that's possible? I mean, he was going in different directions. He was definitely, a lot of people are starting to compare him to Tupac, but he was definitely trying to make the world, or at least at least Los Angeles, a better place for the future in the youth. So let's talk about this. Do you guys actually believe this story from the guy? I mean, they have pictures together. He has the text message, so it has to be valid. Let's talk about it in the comments. I'm in the news with it. Make sure to thumbs up this video, comment below, and check out all my other videos at the end of the screen.
So now you guys see why a lot of Black people believe that there was a greater conspiracy behind Nipsey Hussle being murdered, because he was just doing some amazing things. And the reality is that the gang violence, the gangs going against each other, was created by white supremacy. And I know a lot of Black people are like, oh, everything's white people's fault, blah, blah, blah. But they've been doing crazy stuff to us for 400, 500 years. So if you're thinking that they suddenly change and they're these nice people, you're lying to yourself, especially when they come out with documents and admit that these are things that they have done. People have proof of cops dropping guns in neighborhoods. You have to ask yourself, where are we getting drugs from? We're not from Mexico or Colombia or any of that. So how are these drugs getting into our communities? And for me, I've researched and heard stories that once the cops saw us uniting and becoming stronger, or the government too, that's when they decided to just break that up. And so you started seeing less of black people being married to each other and having strong foundational families, because that's really where the strength of the Black race begins, is with the Black family. They pretty much made an agenda to break that up. And then you always see on TV, you see a Black man with a white woman, or a Black woman with a white man. You rarely are going to see a Black couple that is in a healthy relationship and having, healthy children who they're raising up right. So I just want you guys to see that video just to continue to lend itself to my conspiracy theory that I do believe that the government and the police, LAPD, were behind the murder of Nipsey Hussle. And I haven't seen anything yet that has convinced me otherwise. Speaking of that, there's another video that's floating around where someone was saying, I think it was Nipsey Hussle's friend Cowboy's story. I don't even know if he was really Nipsey Hussle's friend, but he was speaking out about like what went down right before Nipsey Hussle was murdered. And his story just doesn't seem to match other stories from other people who I guess were witnesses of what happened that day. And it's just like wondering. And then when he was talking in the video, he wasn't even having any kind of emotion, which is kind of weird. It's like Nipsey Hussle was murdered and he's supposed to be your friend. And he's just this incredible, polarizing individual. And you don't seem to have any emotion at all. Like, I mean, it's one thing if you don't cry because you're a man and you don't want to show all those tears, but he just had like no emotion. He was just talking like he was talking about the weather. And he, on top of that, another thing that struck me was that he didn't have any emotion when considering the fact that he was literally like probably next to Nipsey Hussle a few seconds prior to Nipsey Hussle being murdered. So it's like, wouldn't that shake you up some? You know, because he claims he was next to Nipsey Hussle when Eric Holder first came up to Nipsey Hussle and shook his hand. And then he said he went and got a burger or something. And then he heard these shots. But it's like, so you didn't run out to try to save Nipsey Hussle? Why did you let Eric Holder come back and shoot him again and then come back and shoot and kick him in the head? Like, why was this allowed to happen? So, you know, again, like, until proven otherwise, like, I'm going to continue to believe that the government and LAPD is behind this. So the next topic that I wanted to go on to is, 1 second, I want to close out Windows because my computer's memory is acting up. So the next topic, and I also want to just throw this disclaimer out really quickly, is that all these videos that I'm showing are for fair use. They're being shown to, for educational and research purposes. So this next video is talking about the South African xenophobic attacks. I did some research and saw that these attacks have actually been happening for some time, which I don't know why I'm surprised at that. I guess I am, but I shouldn't be, because there is so much Black self-hate. So if you're in Africa, of course, everybody's Black. So it's like, who else, you're going to fight with the other Black person. But this time in this moment that we're in, as far as this movement and just trying to have this Black liberation movement across the globe, this particular moment is not a great time to be doing what people are doing. And the crazy thing with me is that Black people just aren't getting it. They're just not getting that, this is not the time for us to be fighting each other. We need to be fighting the greater enemy, which is white supremacy. So, of course, like, I don't know if you guys know that in South Africa, under Malema, it seems like mostly under Malema and his group, EFF, I think it's called the Economic Freedom Fighters. So under them, they have been really pushing to get the land that had been stolen from Black people during the apartheid that happened in South Africa. So I believe it's kind of like America, where 90% of the land and wealth is owned by white people who are only like 2% of the population, So it's like you got like 3 families or 5 families that own everything in South Africa. And the irony of this is that you're in Africa, so why do white people own majority of the land? Why are white people always, and non-Black people, China's in there now, and you have to wonder, like, why are they able to take resources and pump, go back to their countries and benefit from Africa, but no one's really putting anything back into Africa? Why are people even owning land like that in Africa? Like, could you go to Denmark and buy up all the land? Like, it's just frustrating to see white people constantly conquering us. And then instead of us focusing on them, we're focusing on each other. And I don't know if it's because we're afraid of white folks and we think there's a greater power that they have or something. Or I don't know if it's because we feel like we can't do anything to white people. So it's like, I might as well attack this other person over here who looks like me. I have no clue. But either way, it's like really, really sad. And I'm definitely condemning it. I don't think it's something that we should be doing right now. As a Black people, we need to unite. Like I said in another video, at all costs. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. Like, our ancestors are so uncomfortable, but they stuck together. They did what they had to do to fight for freedom, and that's why we're free today. So, and slavery wasn't that long ago. So for people to act like it was hundreds of years ago, it ended in like the 1800s. And honestly, there was actually, the last slave died in like 1935. So it just wasn't that long ago for people to try to sit here and act like they are so far removed from it. You're really not. It's kind of weird to see this name Thomas Holder over here when you got that Eric Holder guy. Ugh. But anyway, so, it's just not, slavery just wasn't that long ago. And our ancestors fought really hard through wars, through uprisings. They did a lot of different things to try to get that freedom. Or, even with Harriet Tubman, she helped free slaves through the Underground Railroad. So it's like we were constantly doing things to break out of that, break out of those chains. And I feel like Black people today are just so comfortable in the little bit of freedom that we have that they're not willing to continue to fight. And the reality is we're still enslaved, even if it's mentally enslaved or enslaved physically with prison, in prison, or even in Africa, there's actually actual slavery still happening. I want to say it's Arabs enslaving Black people in Libya. I have to look at those details, but Arabs did the worst slavery. Their slavery was worse than European slavery, and European slavery was pretty damn bad. Very, very bad. So the thing is, like, Black people to me I don't know why they're comfortable. Like, for me personally, I cannot be comfortable until we are completely free. Like, I don't like just trying to find a comfortable spot inside of white supremacy and being okay with that. Like, I want to own land. I want wealth. I want what's owed to us, because our ancestors should not have worked for 400 years for free. Like, that's unfucking acceptable. And then all the stuff that happened to us after slavery was supposed to be over, which we know with the 13th Amendment, it technically never has ever really ended in America. So, and America was the very last country to end slavery, by the way, guys, just so you know how racist the American country is. But I am not okay with crumbs. And I think what drives me the most for Black liberation is justice and just what white people are allowed to do. Non-Black people, white people, whatever, if they're not Black, they're an enemy to me, because I feel like they're constantly doing things to hurt and oppress our race. And I'm just not okay with like good enough. I've never been one of those people. Like, I want to strive for the best. I don't know why we, the original people, have to just be okay with poverty and being at the bottom and being an underclass in our own country, constantly being mistreated, constantly watching them kill our people who are unarmed, innocent people, or arrest them. Now, there's another epidemic that I want to talk about in my next video. I've been seeing a lot of like children in America being arrested, and I am outraged. Like, I can't get used to this stuff. I just can't. And I have already committed myself to fighting for Black liberation for the rest of my life. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and get through this, because I don't want this video to be too long. So this video here is going to show some of the damage that the South African people, which the Black people, South African Black people, did to the Black foreign nationals, which would be people coming from outside of South Africa, like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, different countries. And they're basically, I don't know why they're coming to South Africa. I think maybe for a better life. To me, South Africa is like maybe the America of Africa. It's like a lot of white people. When I see South Africa, it's like a lot of white people. Mostly everything's owned by white folks. And I don't know how that's possible when, I know apartheid happened, but it's over. And I don't know who the president is. That's another thing I want to say. If you guys have politicians who support xenophobic attacks, like Black people against other Black people, then he's not the politician for you. So you guys need to be really careful about who you are voting into office, who promote you working against your Black brothers and sisters. You should be remain steadfast and focused on who really is harming you guys. Because if you're fighting because another Black person has a job and trying to do better for himself, it's usually going to what's really underlying all this is the fact that everyone's hungry because white people are hogging up all the wealth and the resources. So that's who you guys need to steadfastly stick to and stay on. Kind of like with our movement, the American Descendants of Slaves movement that we're having here now in America. It's the ADOS movement. And that movement is really about us attacking white supremacy, because if we're struggling, because we're here at the bottom in America, the Black people, the Black Americans, or just Black people, period, who knows? Because I don't really feel like getting into all the different cultures that's in, like, different types of people in America right at this moment as far as Black people. But we have like Black Americans and we have Black immigrants who are from Haiti, Jamaica, Africa, like all kinds of, African diaspora. They're all from all over. And then we have the Africans who are in America as well, which is cool. It's all gravy. But we're all fighting for the same little bit of like 2% of resources, while white households own about 90 some percent of the wealth. And that's unacceptable. And instead of us attacking each other, we need to unite and attack white supremacy. And so I posted, speaking of that, I posted something on Twitter the other day about how much money Africans have sent back home in the past year. And I kind of got into this thing back and forth with this woman who, I think she was African on one side and then the other parent was African American. And we kind of were going back and forth because she wanted to know, like, why are we attacking Africans? And I invited her on my show because I told her it's really too complex of an issue to have over Twitter. But the reason why I posted that article is not because I don't like Africans. It's because I feel like Africans in America, not all of them, but the ones who have a platform like Joy Reid, the mother, what's her name? Amy McClure, the mother of the McClure Discovery twins. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them. And I'll show you guys videos at another time. It's just so much to unpack. But the people who seem to have the most influence are the Africans or the Black immigrants that white people are going to uplift and give a platform to. Anyone who is willing and ready to oppress and undermine the Black American is going to be uplifted. And what we're seeing right now is we feel like America's allowing immigrants to come in to kind of undermine and water down the Black American and have more votes that are not relying on Black America so that they can continue to do whatever they want to do and they're not going to have to pay reparations. Because this country owes everything to ADOS, the American Descendants of Slaves. They owe everything to Black Americans. We built the entire country. This country's still making money off of our backs. And I'm not here to have discord with Black immigrants because that doesn't make sense. Like, obviously, we're not really we're not the majority in this country, and we need to stick together. So I think there's only like 35 to 40 million African Americans in America, and then there's like only like 5 million Black immigrants, I believe. So it's like together there's only about 45 million of us versus all the other races. And trust and believe, all those other races are against us. As of right now, all those other races are on top of us. Like they're at first class or even second class, and we're like way at the bottom. It's like third class citizens. Like we're just like in this permanent, like almost this permanent underclass where we're being treated accordingly. Like we're the ones that are overwhelmingly being locked up, being murdered by police who are supposed to be protecting us, being committed for crimes that others do as well, but others are not going to jail or prison for these same crimes. Or when we do get sentences, our sentences are much longer than other racist sentences for prison. So I wanted Africans to see how much they benefit from America, because a lot of them are over here and they're so proud of their accomplishments. Like, oh, I have an Ivy League degree. We're doctors here. We went to college here. But what they're not doing is they're not giving African Americans any of that credit for what they've been able to accomplish. And they know our history. They know that we built this country. They know about the civil rights movement. So why are you continuing to help white people oppress us? And you're basically coming over here taking the little bit of slots that was given to us through the affirmative action and civil rights movement that was really created to kind of like be almost like a little bit of reparations for what happened to our ancestors, which we know, of course, that was like a penny in the bucket compared to what America needs to really do to repair the African American community in America. So it's kind of like so complex. Like it's hard to explain to Africans that we're not against them, but at the same time, like we feel like they should support us. Otherwise, you will be looked upon as an enemy, And for you to be able to send back billions of dollars to Africa, you clearly are benefiting from the economy of America, which was built off the backs of Black slaves. So, which is our ancestors, and actually, that economy is still running off of Black bodies. So I mean, America has never, ever, 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 ever survived without Black slavery. Period. They don't know how to survive. If we all moved out of America today, they would have to find either another race, like probably Hispanics, um, to replace us, and they would become the new underclass, like kind of take our place, or or the country would collapse. Which, to be honest, America's kind of in danger of collapsing anyway. In the rate that they're going, there's the retail apocalypse. There's so much happening. America's in tons of debt. They owe almost everything. They're in a lot of debt to China. It's just like the housing market crash is probably going to crash again. There's just like a lot going on in America. And as Marianne Williams has said, she's actually one of the presidential candidates who's running right now. And I completely feel like she's going to be the candidate for us because she's the only one I feel is the most genuine when it comes to reparations for ADOS. But as she stated, this country will never do well until it repairs what it did. It has like this ugly stain on it, which is slavery, that they built the wealth off that country. For the majority of the country's of America's existence, slavery was legal. So that is just such an ugly, horrific past. It's like, how can you expect to grow from that? You're growing from a scab, you're not growing from wonderful things. So it's like, you need to repair those people, and you can't just look the other way or try to wash it out by doing something else. Like, this country really just has to kind of like almost be like rebuilt from the inside out, because it doesn't know how to exist without like slavery. And constantly oppressing a group of people just it's not gonna cut it. Like, people are going to rise up. You're always going to be having these issues, and it's going to be looking eventually like a state of unrest, like Middle East or, certain parts of this world where people are just always at war. And I don't know how a country can grow from that. So that's another thing, is people wondering, like, who should we really be fighting? The 1%, the people who have all the wealth, because they're kind of like pitting the poor people against the poor people, and making us look at each other. And it's like, enough of that. Like, we need to start looking at the real issue. So yes, we're looking at Africans like, what are you doing? But to be honest, we probably should not. Like, to me, personally, I don't feel like I need to really focus on Africans too much. I think we've attacked a few people like Joy Reid because she purposely has a platform on MSNBC that's a national news network. And she made it her point in several different episodes to basically try to discredit ADOS, which is just not going to happen. At this point in time in the era that we're in, I call it the Black intelligence era. But the moment that we're in today, the day, right, like right now, this modern time in society, like, Black people it's almost like we're moving together almost cosmically. Like, it's like they're kind of trying to stop us, but this movement is so big, like, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I don't really see why we need to go, at Joy Reid like that, because at the end of the day, she's basically irrelevant, and she's going to get fired because it's going to become it's very clear already that she doesn't have an African-American base. And then that's another issue, is like, Africans coming to America are kind of presenting themselves as being ADOS. And so that would be good if it was positive effects on us, but it's not. So they're like basically speaking as though they're African Americans, or acting like they are, but they have the mindset almost of like a white supremacist. So, for example, the Amy McClure mother, and I've seen other videos of other people that you guys probably don't know. So I'm just naming people that are probably have a lot more reach as to who's watching them. But you have to look at like the mindset of these people, and then the things they're saying, and the things they're going to be having the power to do with this white supremacist mindset. So she basically said, like, Black people, African Americans have no culture. So she's allowed to have this platform that I used to support because she was a Black woman. And I have twins, she has twins, and I just thought that was so cute. And I've always had this fascination with twins anyway, even before I had my children. But she, I used to support her. And then it's like, you have this platform that white people gave you. She's married to a white man. And you basically sit down and say that Black Americans have no culture. And it's like, excuse me. like she basically said, like, we have manners in Nigeria and we're doing this, and Black people don't. And it's like, that's a lie. That's a lie. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you try to make us look bad and put your boot on our neck right along with the white people? Like, we're already struggling to be free and trying to rise up. And then on top of that, the fact that Nigerians and Ghanaians, West Africans helped to sell Black Americans into slavery, which is why we're in America to begin with. It's like, how dare you come back how dare you bring your ass over to America? You probably have wealth in your family from the slave trade, from selling my ancestors. And then you come to America and continue to oppress us. So at that point, I'm looking at you like a white supremacist, because the oppression never ends. You are still against us. And it's not to say all Africans are like that. I definitely don't believe that. But the ones who white people are happy to give a platform to, they are. They are basically white supremacists in blackface, like Obama. White people are always happy to give a Black coon a platform. Like, if you're about to shit on Black people, they can't give you a show fast enough. They will give you primetime news segment, station, channel. They will put you on Fox. They will put you on NBC. They will give you they will uplift you like Cardi B. They will uplift you and give you all kinds of awards so your music can continue. Your music and her persona is so disrespectful to African Americans. Like, I've never supported Cardi B. She does not represent Black Americans, just like Nicki Minaj doesn't. There's a lot of Black, quote unquote, Black people who are allowed to be put up on this pedestal for the world to see, and they're representing a race that doesn't live like that. Like, that's not who we are. And the ones who are acting like them, I basically consider that genocide, because that's what it is. It's basically Jews hiring Black people to help Black people kill Black people. So people like Future, who's promoting Molly and Percocet, and he had the nerve to compare himself to Nipsey Hussle. Never in life are you having anything to do with Nipsey Hussle except being an enemy and the complete opposite of who that man was. How dare you speak his name? So Future is fucking pathetic. Cardi B, any of these artists who their whole platform is about killing Black folks, like promoting violence amongst Black people, Black on Black crime, which I actually hate that term because white people created it. But anyways, they promote violence against Black people. They promote drug use. They promote alcohol abuse. And it's like, people can say, oh, you're so conservative. But the funny thing is, I actually used to not be this conservative, but it got to the point where I had to be, because I'm like, we were in such a deep under attack. Like, the attack on Black Americans is so strong, coming from so many different directions. Like, you have to be like almost extremely conservative to push back against white supremacy. Like, they're trying to make it like under music and TV and whatever. Like, you have the Issa Rae. She has some show that's basically disrespecting African Americans, making us look like a hot mess. And a lot of things people don't even know. Like, they don't know that the majority of Black women in recent times hold the majority college degrees in this country. So people don't think about that. They just think we're like these lunatics running around twerking. And then when you go out of the country, and this one Black American said she went to Africa, and they were like, do you kill each other? Do you do this? Do you do that? Like, people are completely clueless of like who the true Black American is. And that's what part of the idiotic movement is like, that's unacceptable. Like, no, we don't do these things. We do have manners. I was raised to respect my elders. Like, who the hell are you to come from another country and tell me who the fuck I am? Like, you don't know me. You know what I'm saying? You don't know me. You didn't take the time to know me. You brought your ass over here. You couldn't integrate with white people fast enough. You're married to a white man. You're probably just around white folks all day. And the video, if I get a chance, I'll try to show you guys. I think I already did in another video, but me watching these videos just shows how much there's a lot of Africans out there just pitted against African Americans, and that's a problem. That's xenophobic, as well. Like it's like we didn't do anything to you. And the most Black I've seen Africans say is like, oh, what about African booty scratcher or whatever? And they're talking about stuff that's so like pathetic. It's like that's not going to really harm you. That's kind of like a white person saying, well, you call me a cracker. It's like, well, so what? Like at the end of the day, I really don't have any power as a Black American to oppress you. I can't stop you from getting a job. I can't stop you from getting a bank loan to start your business. I can't stop you from getting a mortgage loan to buy your home for your family. I can't lock up your children. I can't give your husband 100 years for a bag of weed. I can't do anything to you, like physically and significantly, that's going to significantly affect your life. I can't do that as a Black American. I don't have that power. Racism, white supremacy is a system. So if I don't have that power to do that, honestly, the shit that I can say to you and call you names doesn't really matter. And a lot of those, that power is backed by resources and money. So if we don't have reparations and we don't have money, basically the enemy will always win. And that's why they won't give us reparations, because they know if we give reparations to African Americans, they will rise the fuck up and we will probably be at the bottom. And it's not even something that we would do to them. It's just naturally, that's just what that's what's going to happen, because at the end of the day, this country makes a lot of money off of the talent of Black people, the death of Black people, the ideas of Black people, the stolen land of Black people. Like they've taken so much from Black Americans that if they repaid us, honestly, they probably would have nothing for themselves. They wouldn't have anything left, just to try to repay us. And the thing is, like, we're not even asking for all that. We're like, just pay taxes out of your tax dollars, put that towards our reparations, like you do for Native Americans and Jews. Like, I don't know if people know it, but America actually gives Israel $60 billion a year. That meme that I saw, I said, oh, that's like 1 point something million a day. They give $60 billion a year to Israel for the fuck what? And they have the nerve to say they don't have money for reparations for the people who built the country that allows them to give Israel $60 billion a year. So let that sink in. So I'm going to go ahead and show this video really quickly. This is me talking about xenophobia in South Africa, but this is basically kind of what's happening in America as well. Is you're pitting Black against Black, and at the end of the day, we're all poor. We're all at the bottom fighting for the same crumbs. And even the ones who are probably doing a little bit better, good for you. But in America anyway, like they can bring you down. If they can bring down people like Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby, Prince, Nipsey Hussle, they can bring you down. You're not that powerful. And that basically just taught me that Black people by themselves doing well ain't shit. Like you need to have your crew behind you. You need to have all of us doing well. That's the only way you're gonna prosper and thrive, is if all Black people are doing well. If you have like onesie twosies, and these people are basically gatekeepers, like Joy Reid, Amy McClure, people that think like them, Issa Rae, people who think like them, act like them, disrespect African Americans. They're basically gatekeepers. They're basically the people that try to portray that African Americans are idiots and kind of like keep us at bay from whitey. They basically are there to keep us from getting to white supremacy. So we had to basically knock them out the way to get to the white man to say, hey, you are going to pay us reparations. You are going to do what is owed to us. You are going to give justice for our ancestors and what you've done to them, and for all the 400, 500, 600 years, period. So that's what we're doing. So if it looks like we're attacking Africans, we're really not. There's like a whole kind of like agenda that has to happen for us to get through the Africans, because some of them are being used as gatekeepers to keep us from getting to the white man. And that's something that we have to get to the white supremacists. We have to get to them to get what we deserve and what is owed to us. So I condemn what's happening in South Africa as well. The xenophobic attacks are ridiculous. I saw this and I was so angry and so confused. Like, how can Africans not see that they're all one people, and that the people they need to be mad at are the white people who own the majority of the wealth in Africa? You're not even from Africa. Why do you own the majority of the wealth in this country. You're not from South Africa. You're from Denmark or Norway or whatever the hell white European country that you're from. How dare you come to this continent that is majority black? This is our continent, and you own majority of the wealth. How can you do that? And then Africans that are there don't even see that. Like, there are Africans who are fighting to get that land back, but all of you are needed. All of you are needed. Some of y'all can't be focusing on other Africans who are coming to South Africa to try to have a better life. Y'all are all needed to unite and focus on the real enemy, which is white supremacists. Period. That's why I keep telling you guys, they are the fucking enemy. And I'm going to keep drumming it in people's heads because I'm tired of black people not seeing who the true enemy is. And if you don't know who your enemy is, you're not going to be able to fight them because you don't know who they are. You think they're so nice. Of course they're nice because they're oppressing you and they have all the goddamn wealth. If I had all the money in the world, I'd be really fucking nice too. They're running shit. They're dominating. They're winning right now. So yeah, they can smile at you. They can give you a biscuit or a crumb or whatever. Sure, why not? Their life is good for them. They're on yachts. They're living in big, beautiful mansions. They're living the great life. They're not oppressed. So of course they're fucking nice. And black people are mad and angry because we are hungry and we are poor and we're tired of being treated like shit. So the simple thing is, if you are black and someone else is black, y'all are in this shit together, period. Now, the black Africans that we're attacking in America usually are going to be considered the elite. We're not against a regular African who is just trying to get by like we are. But we also know that America can potentially use that African to become a gatekeeper. So y'all need to check your black immigrant brothers and sisters and let them know, like, no, we need to support ADOS because, like I said before, when ADOS wins, everyone wins. Instead of us sitting here fighting over the little bit of crumbs that white supremacists are giving us, unite so we can take the whole fucking bag. Like, I want the bag. I want the land. I want it all. That's what ADOS is saying. We gonna go take that shit, though. That's what we want. So then we can just prosper. We don't have to be sitting there fighting over little crumbs here and there. We can go back to Africa, rebuild Africa, kick the non-black people out of Africa, and do the damn thing, and then, like, once we do that, y'all can fight for your reparations in Africa. You need to go against Britain and France and all the motherfuckers who fucked up Africa. Y'all need to put your claims in, and we can back that 100,000%, and we can back it harder if we have money. If we have reparations that have been paid to us, we can help you fight harder. So people just gotta think bigger picture. And if it's too hard for you to understand all the different concepts and complexities of this movement, then just remember, unite with black. Because as I said in another video, it's a race. This is a competition. And the teams are different races. That's who's in the competition. So it's black against white, against Asians, against Indians, Native Americans, against Arabs. 5 teams. That's it. So it's not black against black at any point in time. It's not men against women at any point in time. It's not kids against adults at any point in time. It's races. Five different races in this one race trying to get to the finish line. Period. That's as simple as it gets. Like, there's really no other way to put this. Like, that's just what it is. It's like you are not going to win by oppressing other black people. It's that simple. Like, even the Africans who sold us into slavery, look at that. Look at their countries. Are their countries successful? Like, you got those few black families that are doing well, but overall, is Nigeria and Ghana just succeeding and looking so great? Okay. So just sit on that, think about that, and think, why is Haiti looking the way it looks? Because they give billions of dollars they give tons of money. I think it's billions of dollars to France every year for taxes, because France was like, oh, you beat us, but you got to compensate us for stuff we contributed to Haiti, 1,000. I mean, I'm like, look at Haiti. Haiti looks like a hot mess. Like, why are they paying France anything? And actually, I read that if they stop paying those taxes, what is it called? It's sanctions. Yeah. So if they stop paying those sanctions to France, France will collapse. So a lot of these people are playing you, black people. Like it's like almost exhausting, but I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it until this world changes, because it's like this is unacceptable and we can't do this alone. We have to do this together. There's strength in numbers. If you notice, when white people go to war, guess who their allies are? America is allies, because I was in the military. I'm gonna remind y'all. I was stationed at NATO. I was stationed at NATO, which means let me look it up. I haven't looked at that word in 100 years. But NATO is basically where all the allies of America are together. So you got France, Germany, Belgium, like everybody's together. So let me see here. We got NATO. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Also called the North Atlantic Alliance. So this is an intergovernmental military alliance between 29 North American and European countries. What the fuck is North America doing with Europe anyway? You don't see them including Africa though, right? So that's basically what they did when Haiti rose up against them. Is like all the white countries went after to try to come slam Haiti, and Haiti just kept giving that work to them, and they fucking like had to go back home with their tails between their legs. And now they have this NATO crap to make sure that shit never happens again. They are sticking together. Like, they may not agree on every damn thing, but at the end of the day, when the bigger picture arises, like, America's racist country ass is going to stick with all the other white countries to come down on black people. That's what they do. So that's what black people need to do. We need to learn how to put our shit aside and come together to rise up against white supremacy. And those onesie twosies black people that are considered the elite, who, like those politicians who promote xenophobia and promote the division, they're working with white people, and they want that to happen so that they can get their butter biscuits, their little bit of crumbs, and continue to do well. And we can't allow that anymore, black people. And when I say black people, I mean people all over the globe, Africans and African diaspora. We can't allow that anymore, because there's too many of us suffering for 1% of black people to be doing well and the majority of white people to do well. That's unacceptable. So let me go ahead and show this video.
Town was one of the worst hit areas during the xenophobic attacks in Johannesburg's Central District. These foreign nationals own panel beating and mechanical workshops in Jeppestown and are no strangers to both conflict and hard work. They have yet to return to their professions, rather spending their time repairing the damage done by the looters and trying to salvage what is left of their trades.
They got in here, and then they broke also up there, and then they took stuff up there.
They damaged the gates, and then there's one car that they bent inside. But there's a guy, I believe we can pass. It was quite okay. They came back, they destroyed the whole thing. We got about 30 cars here, but we towed the cars and packed for storage. We normally buy accident cars and fix, you understand? Some of the cars, when you buy, the wires are broken. So we used to change the wires completely. So we used to keep them here. I believe they just put fire on it to burn so that they can get the copper and then go and sell it. And I wish they would sell these things and open business with it. They mustn't drink with it.
The white people have been here for a long time during apartheid, and they what they did to the blacks. So they've got fear in the white people. You bring your nonsense, they shoot and kill. They've got lawyers to save them out of this nonsense. So they know that if they go to the white people, they will be killed there and then. They know that we black people, we're not used to killing. So that's why they take advantage of us. And when we kill, we don't have strong lawyers to defend us and come out. You know what I'm saying? They will say, no, this can't happen here. But because the white is here, they're scared of the white. That's all.
When the Nigerians mobilized themselves to face these South Africans, what happened? The police rather shooting the rubber bullets, the Nigerians. They mustn't defend themselves. They mustn't defend themselves.
Yeah, that's what happened in Durban. And here as well. And here as well.
This is not the house facility.
Down here.
This was a workshop.
They had hijacked our car. So we tried to stone. They stoned. We stoned. They stoned. So when the police came, they just dispersed us. Then those guys just ran back in the hostel.
Foreign nationals say they are hard workers and prosper accordingly. They say locals are jealous of their success, but they have tried to encourage South Africans to work with them. But they always refuse their offers, opting for a life of crime rather than one of hard work.
This man is the owner of this garage. Why can't they come here that, please, I have a son who is 15 years or he's 14 years. I want to give you this boy. It's like a school. What all that we're doing here, we learn it at school. I have a master that taught me at school in Ghana. So we'll be seeing them all around here with their fathers drinking together. And then at times I used to, please, why can't you give me this boy to train him to become a mechanic? Say, a nice cat. I don't have time for that.
The bottom line is laziness. People are lazy. People don't want to work. Simple as that.
As a foreigner, when I come to this country and I read what is going on here, and I see this is free to get a certificate and get a job. I got a skills already. I come to this country. What must I do? I have to go and get a certificate and get a job. When you get a job, they say you are a foreigner. You don't have ID. They chase me away.
When you grow, what are you going to do to support yourself? You understand? We haven't taken anybody's job. I'm telling you. If you like, let's leave this place for them.
1,000 years.
Nobody can work. Nobody can work. If you don't have a skill, you can't work.
They employ people that got ID, but they can't work. You understand? They employ people that got ID book, but they can never do nothing in that company.
Right in the city center, you keep unemployed people. So what do you expect them to do? Because they need to eat, they need to sleep, they need to survive, they need better life. So they have to come and steal on those who are working.
Without apprenticeships, they say the South African youth will never develop the necessary skills to open their own shops and will always be dependent on others.
But since we came here, we discovered that parents are not even encouraging the youth to go for skills. You understand? Everybody wants to be rich within overnight. It's not done that way. I'm pleading to the government to bring technical skills to each people. I'm telling you. And that will end this problem in this country.
All right, so that video, and then we have a second video where with my sister, Dr. Moonbi Saraki, and she is talking about I actually originally saw it through her channel because I follow her and I'm subscribed to her channel. So she was talking about the xenophobic attacks, and I also like where Malema weighs in on how he feels about it. He's the leader of the EFF.
Wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa Watch on the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How are you doing? How's everything going? I pray you're well in all your ways and that you are living your best life. Today I wanted to talk about something sad that, is coming out of South Africa. Something we're not that is not a strange occurrence, unfortunately. And what I'm talking about is the xenophobic attacks that have been happening all of last week basically in Durban. I don't think they've spread to any other cities or townships. And what they're saying is that last Sunday, there was some kind of altercation between foreign African nationals and South Africans where something happened. South Africa, these three young South African men went to a foreign national's shop, and I think there was some kind of exchange, and the foreign African national actually pulled a gun, and unfortunately, one of the young men died on the spot. The other one died in hospital. Now, as a retaliatory attack, what we saw is young South African men now started going to different foreign African nationals' homes and seizing their beds, their televisions, their baskets, everything basically in their homes. And it reached a point where some foreign African nationals, mainly from Malawi, I think there were also some from Zimbabwe, actually had to seek refuge in a nearby police station. Now, 48 hours later, the place, I think it's called something like, it was in Springfield, but it's in a little city, I think called Ewing or something. The police actually called out and they said, you can return to your homes within 48 hours. That's what they tried to convince the foreign African nationals. But there's been a lot of fear. And we know that usually this kind of division, this kind of hate politics, because that's literally what it is, rears its ugly head during an election season. And let's not forget that South Africa is actually in an election season, a very critical election where, I would say the two main runners are ANC Ramaphosa versus the, youth favorite, let me just say that, Malema. But there's something that Cyril Ramaphosa actually said that many are connecting to the xenophobic attacks that we saw last week. Take a listen to this.
Everybody just arrives in our townships and rural areas and set up businesses without licenses and permits. We are going to bring this to an end. And those who are operating illegally, wherever they come from, must now know. Wake up, Africa!
So it's really, really unfortunate that he would use, a political platform, not just to get, mileage, but to create dissension among Africa, especially at such a time like this when it is so sensitive and it is also so crucial that we stand together as an African people. Now, there was also this other politician who made some really, careless remarks. That's what I would call them. Take a listen.
City in South Africa be 80% foreign nationals. That is dangerous. That in Hillbrow and the surrounding areas, South Africans have surrendered their own city to the foreign nationals. The nation should discuss that particular question. You won't find South Africans in other countries dominating a city into 80%. Because if we do not debate that, that necessarily means the whole South Africa could be 80% dominated by foreign nationals. And the future president of South Africa could be a foreign national. We are surrendering our land. And it is not xenophobia. To talk truth, we fought for this land. From a white minority, we cannot surrender it to the foreign nationals.
Wake up, Africa!
So you can see there, different politicians expressing those sentiments of foreigners are the problem. Foreigners have come here, they've taken our jobs, they've taken our services, which is quite a big lie. Because there are no jobs in South Africa, and that's something that Malema had to say when he spoke out against this. I'll be playing that clip in a little while. But what we're seeing is that, there's a lot of tension that's being brewed in South Africa during this political season. And could it be done so that we can now, create, so that a division can be created between South Africans and other Africans? And we know that South Africa's hour of need is going to come soon as they try and wrestle their hands from the colonizers, wrestle the land from the hands of the colonizers. It's going to be critical that they have the support of Africa. So could this be done? Could it be instigated in order to kind of create that division and separation amongst us? Well, listen to what Malema says, and we'll be right back.
Wake up, Africa!
Whether you are from Zimbabwe, whether you are from Nigeria, this is your home. This is Africa, South Africa. Stop your self-hatred. Stop attacking our brothers from Africa, our sisters from Africa. We are one thing. You say, Batata umsebenzi. Even if we expel them tomorrow, you will still not get a job. There are no jobs in South Africa because whites are refusing to invest money in South Africa. They've got too many savings in the bank. They've got trillions billions in the bank. They are refusing to take it out and build industries. There is no Nigerian who stole an industry and hired Nigerians only. There is no Zimbabwean who's got a farm in Nizna or Stellenbosch who hired Zimbabweans. It is your white people who hire Zimbabweans, pay them low so that you can fight amongst yourselves as Africans. See them for what they are. Bias Luis Alababantu, they are causing divisions amongst Africa. Don't glorify these borders. Uti, hey, there is Zimbabwe, there is Nigeria. These borders were never here. These borders were imposed on us by white people who wanted to divide Africa and do what they wanted to do with this continent of Africa. I am ashamed today to call myself a South Africans. The image that are coming out of Durban make me to be ashamed. You are beating blacks, you are slaughtering Africans. I've never seen you doing that to a Chinese. I've never seen you doing that to a white person who doesn't have papers. I've never seen you do that to an Indian without papers. But once they say it's an African, because you hate yourself, because white people taught you to hate yourself, you kill other Africans. Stop that nonsense. It ends today. We must unite as Africans.
Wake up, Africa! Welcome back to Africa Watch on the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. You heard Malema there, speaking strongly against the xenophobic attacks that we've seen sprouting up in Durban, South Africa, the whole of last week. Very, very unfortunate incident. And, black on black hatred is just the worst form of hatred, especially at such a time as this, when we have a very formidable common enemy that we need to subdue, but instead we're bickering amongst each other. And we see this even in Kenya. Every election season, all of a sudden you're Kikuyu, you're Luo, you're Kalenjin, all these tribes and stuff. People try and divide us, politicians try and divide us along those lines so that they can get those quick wins and those populist votes. But it's just so destructive, and it's really unfortunate what happened in South Africa. Now, we did see the foreign minister, a lady called Sisulu. She actually called a meeting immediately after the incident last week with all African ambassadors, and she was trying to appease them, because let's not forget, not only is South Africa the vice chair of the African Union, but next year they're going to be chairman of the African Union. So they can't afford to have this kind of dissension or drama. And as I mentioned before we took the break, they also can't afford to have, Africa not fully solidly behind them at such a time as this. And, Ramaphosa did actually eventually come out and speak against the xenophobia, and he was telling his people, you need to remember the role that African nations played in our liberation, that African nations played to help us, fight the apartheid system for decades. And he talked all about how Uganda had been very instrumental, not only in training the revolutionaries of South Africa, but also in sending them equipment and sending them arms and offering them asylum. He talked about how other African nations expressed solidarity. Money was raised, I think, by Nigeria and many other African nations. And, as much as he said that, even the foreign minister said that, what happens is that, yes, you know that, but do your people know that? Has that message clearly been shared? Has that message clearly been communicated? Because sometimes I find that our people, perish for a lack of knowledge, for no other better term. And we must hold our leaders accountable and our lead thinkers for not, ensuring that our narrative gets told out there. Because what I imagine And what I assume is that the reason South Africans have this animosity towards other Africans is because they had the image of the white supremacist, when it came to other Africans. That's all they saw, because all the rest of Africa was cut off from apartheid South Africa. We were cut off from our South African brothers and sisters for decades. I mean, I even had a stamp in my passport which said I couldn't go to apartheid South Africa. And so, if you imagine what the West shows their people about what Africa looks like, imagine what South Africa was seeing, because all they were getting was the same, white supremacist news, white supremacist music, etc., etc. Imagine the image they were getting of Africa. And this is part of the reason why it's so crucial that we start to retell our stories, rewrite our story, and get out of his story. Because his story will never be the complete story. An entire half of the story is missing, And so I just pray that everything works out in South Africa. This is really not the time for our division or our separation. People need to get out there. Those who know need to share their knowledge and need to share their information. And, break these barriers, break these false bonds, because the reason South Africans aren't doing well, yes, there's millions and millions and millions of foreign African nationals living in South Africa who have been, escaping their own situations. I'm talking about Mozambique, I'm talking about Zimbabwe, I'm talking about Angola, I'm talking about Congo. Even Nigerians are in South Africa in a big way. But, the reason that South Africans aren't living the life they would want is not because of their fellow African brothers and sisters. It's because of the system is rigged against you guys. The system is rigged against you. If you look, you only control less than 20% of the national wealth. You don't control the diamonds. You don't control all the other natural resources. So that's where the problem is, and that's the fight that you're fighting. So I just pray that no distraction will keep you from getting what's yours, what's rightfully yours, and that the division amongst us will be eradicated, and we will continue to grow in unity, in solidarity. South Africa, we love you. Africa, we love you. Until next time. Mwah. Wake up!
Okay, so that so she basically just said everything I just said. Division just has to end amongst Black people everywhere, because we have a greater enemy, as Malima said, is white supremacy. They're the ones who are really oppressing us. And I feel like a lot of times we're either afraid to fight white people, or we can't get to them to do anything to them. But I think a lot of it is fear. And I think we're going after the people closest to us who we can attack or take our anger and frustrations out on. And I do think that there is self-hatred there as well that makes it more easier to do that, to attack another person who's Black. And that's just very painful to see and admit. And, we just have to do better. And I know it's going to be uncomfortable for some Black people because it's going to be new. Is change, and a lot of people are not comfortable with change, or they don't like change. But it's necessary. So the last topic I wanted to talk about really quickly, because I just wanted to, I wanted to talk about this topic because this kind of reflects that self-hate a bit. Kodak Black has made a lot of disparaging comments about Black women, and he's very disrespectful of Black people in general. And I just wanted to throw this out here and put this video on really quickly, because it's just something that just recently happened. So I wanted to approach this topic while it was still relevant, I guess you could say, which is in America is probably going to be relevant all the time, because the Jews run Hollywood and the media in America, and they pretty much like to push out a lot of music, rap music and movies and media, the news. They like to push out a lot of things through the media, the different forms of media that will negatively portray Black people. So, like I said before, they have Africans, Black immigrants, because it's not just Africans, but it's Black immigrants who they give a platform to act as gatekeepers, to act as people who can kind of undermine the Black American. And they also do that. White supremacy in America also does that for African Americans. They actually use our own people against us a lot of times. And Kodak Black is an example of that. He made these comments to Lauren London right after Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle's barely, I don't even think he was buried yet. And you have Kodak Black making these disrespectful comments to this Black woman about her significant other who has just passed. And there's word on the street that they were actually married, which I do hope they were, because I want her to take on, to inherit his, what he's built, Nipsey Hussle has built. I don't want white people getting their hands on his stuff. Nipsey Hussle, when he was alive, was very big on owning his own masters, which is his music and everything that had like all the royalties, everything. He gets that in his pockets, in his bank account for his family. And white people can't stand that. They actually killed MJ, Michael Jackson, and Prince over stuff like that. And they brought Bill Cosby down because it was rumored that he was trying to purchase a network, and they just don't like to see us owning anything. And that's all we need to be trying to strive to do, is own. Pretty much whatever white people want you to do, you do the opposite, Black people. It's that simple. Like, if you don't understand anything else and it's, too much for you to sift through, the easiest thing for me when I first became completely conscious and very woke, of probably like 5 or 6 years ago, was, because I always knew racism was there as a kid, but when I finally kind of finished this transformation of really becoming completely woke. Now, you're never really completely woke. Like, I am working on getting to a higher level of consciousness. I need to meditate and things like that. But you are, if you can't get there yet, because I know we all have cycles, and we all will get there in our own different time. But honestly, like, you have to try to hurry get there now, because the movement is happening now, and it's kind of like dire that we make these things happen. So what I want to say as a shortcut, and what worked for me, was that when I couldn't fully understand white supremacy and how it worked, or how to combat it, like go up against it and fight it, the thing I told myself several years ago, after Trayvon Martin was murdered, was the way my philosophy worked is whatever white people believe and support, you believe the opposite and you support the opposite. It's that simple. They're never really working your interests. So it's that simple. Like, you can do your research on them individually, but collectively and overall, white people are usually, you can almost promise like 100% of the time, they're working against you, Black man, Black woman, Black child. So that's just the way I function in life, is I just assume off top, if anything goes wrong for Black people, white people are behind it. If white people are supporting someone, even if they're Black, I kind of look at that Black person sideways, and I want to know why are white people supporting this person? And it's not to say there's something necessarily wrong with the Black person all the time, but just my point is, just do your research. Don't take white people ever, ever, ever. None Black people, Chinese people, Asian people, Arabs, Hispanics, don't ever, 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 ever take them at face value. Ever, ever, ever. And when in regards to your Black brothers and sisters, for me personally, I trust Black people obviously way more than non-Black people. And you can do your research with that person too, depending on who that person is. And, maybe see, you might want to dig in their background a little bit, see if they're a gatekeeper for white supremacy. Are they working with white supremacy? Are they an agent for white supremacy? But overall, the average Black person, I'm going to rock with them. And we need to just try to put the differences aside, the ego aside, communicate more, and work together to unite and just be brother and sister and be family, because that's what we are at the end of the day. We are family. We bicker, we may fight like any other siblings, but at the end of the day, like, you're not going to talk about my people and get away with it. Like if, it's just like my brother and sister, like I may fight with them or call them a name and I'm mad at them or something. But if someone else talks about my brother and sister, it's going down, like we're going to have problems. If you're not my family, we're going to have problems. So that's how I look at the Black race as a whole worldwide. Is I may chastise Black people and say, we need to get it together, or we need to do this, we need to do that, so we can better ourselves as a race. But you're not going to be white or Arab or Asian or whatever trying to come for my people. We're going to have a problem. And another reason why I take real offense to that is because I'm Black too. So whatever they're thinking about this Black person, they probably think the same way about me. A lot of Black people try to act like it's in a vacuum and they're exempt from whatever someone's, non-Black person is doing or saying to another Black person. You're not exempt. It actually could have been you. You were just in the right place at the right time. So if they're like, shooting an unarmed Black person or arresting a Black child or whatever, that could have been your child. That could have been you getting shot, in the back while you're trying to run away from the police, who just was a race soldier and out to get you and get rid of another Black person on this earth. So just always think about that. Always think like that could have been me, like honestly, it really could. And a lot of times Black people try to shut their eyes and act like things aren't so bad or aren't happening until it knocks on their door. And so, and another thing I learned from the Nipsey Hussle death is that you want to live good in your life. Like you want to live well, you want to do right by people. And so when you die, you are loved, you're revered, your legacy will be picked up and continued. Nipsey Hussle to me is like an angel. Like we've uplifted him to that status. And I've seen a lot of hate, a bit of jealousy on social media from other Black men, which was kind of strange, and also from Black feminists. So that's kind of weird to me that people can be jealous of a man who's dead. Let this brother rest in power and be at peace. And actually, we know he's still here with us. He just, his energy, his soul just moved from one Black person to another. So but I'm just grateful that Nipsey did all that he did and he's still here. But at the end of the day, like this guy, Nipsey Hussle, his physical being is gone. And for people to be jealous of him because people loved him, it kind of speaks more. It definitely speaks more about that person than Nipsey Hussle. It's like you're the one with the problem. If you have an issue with Nipsey Hussle and all that he was doing, which was great for the Black community and doing wonderful things with he was a family man and looked like a wonderful partner. And he was talking about going back home to Africa and doing great things in his country in Eritrea. This man he was rising. He was an amazing force to handle, and that's why they had to get rid of him. And so I feel like if people are jealous, don't get jealous, live like him, do put more back into your community, get on YouTube and create your channel to inspire Black children to do better. Maybe you can do courses of STEM or something like that there's websites, Udemy. There's so much on the internet that you can do to reach others and teach Black children. You can build your wealth somehow so that you can give back to your Black communities. Like it's not going to benefit anybody for you to sit online and cry and talk about like, oh, I say the same things, but no one listens to me. Well, no one knows you. You don't have that influence. Nipsey Hussle worked hard and he got that influence so that he could be a positive influence on Black people. And then as far as the Black feminists, the thing I just say to them as a mother of 5 Black sons, all Black men aren't bad. So, what happened with Nipsey and Eric Holder, this is not really the time for you to come out and make it about you and your stuff. I think most Black women have been sexually assaulted. I have been molested by a family member. So there's a lot of things that I have gone through as a Black woman myself. But to demonize all Black men because of that's unacceptable. Not all Black men are demons. They're not all bad. It's kind of like when Black people so good say, well, not all white people are bad or not all police are bad. But I actually know with my dad, my brother, my sons who are babies, I have a 14-year-old son, I have a 12-year-old son, they'll be 15 and 13 this year. They're just amazing children. And, of course, my fiance, who else? My sister's fiance, there's just like a lot of Black men I know who are great men. And they've just been there our whole lives. And a lot of times when I've had opportunities in life, it was because of Black men. So I think we need to, like I said, come together and unite, whether it's Black men or Black women or Black, children against adults or whatever the strife is, Crips against Bloods, whoever. We need to come together and at first it may be uncomfortable, but eventually you're going to get used to it. It will become a part of life. It's going to become normal to just love on each other and love each other, and be able to look past those flaws that we each have, because none of us are perfect. I'm not saying Nipsey was perfect. I'm not perfect. Black men in general are not perfect. Black women in general are not perfect. Black children are not. Actually, they are perfect. No, I'm joking. But Black children are not perfect, but they're babies. So, they're still learning. They don't know any better sometimes. But, Black people we're people. But it's like, if you can give a benefit of the doubt to other races, no, stop giving them the benefit of the doubt and being so hard on people who look like you, because you're not doing anything but hurting yourself through the oppressing behavior or the hurtful tactics of trying to hurt someone who looks like you. It's kind of like if you do something to someone else, you're basically doing it to yourself when they look like you. Because at the end of the day, say you like how that Black guy, Eric Holder, killed Nipsey Hussle. All that did was take an amazing figure from the Black race. That's what that Black guy did. That's what Eric Holder did. He took an amazing person from us who was going to help the Black race. Nipsey Hussle wasn't helping white people. He wasn't helping Arabs. He wasn't helping Asians or Native Americans. He was helping Black people. So if you're one of those hateful Black people who's like, I'm just going to hate Black people and I'm going to do dumb stuff to Black people, then all you're doing is essentially hurting yourself. Eric Holder just hurt himself and his own race. That's what he accomplished. He killed someone who looked like him, and he essentially hurt himself. He's now in jail looking stupid and scared for his life. The getaway driver, the female, I think she's looking over her shoulder, because I do believe she played a part in it. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't make sense that she knew nothing about this. She played a role. And, it's just a tragedy. Like, the whole thing, I still trying to wrap my head around this whole situation. And that would go for any crime that happens in the Black communities. I never understand it. I never understand how you can kill someone who looks like you over a pair of shoes or over a disagreement or whatever. I can't understand that level of hatred. And honestly, I can't understand that level of self-hate, because I don't have that kind of hatred towards myself. I love myself, actually. I really love being a Black person. So I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I cannot wrap my head around, how could you go to that level? Like, I could see getting in an argument, but how could you want to, wipe this person off the face of the earth? But yet you have people like George Zimmerman who still get to walk around, and no one hated him enough to get rid of him. He killed an unarmed teenager, a child, a 17-year-old child, Trayvon Martin. And I can never forget that case, because that's really the case that was like the ever change. It's a thing, the moment that just changed my entire life. Like, I literally was so affected by the fact that this white man, and I actually went to school with George Zimmerman. I think he was a grade behind me. I kind of vaguely remember his school photo in a yearbook. I think I vaguely remember him. But, in school, you're older. I was in a popular crowd. I really didn't talk to people behind me who were younger than me or whatever, when I was a teenager. But he is disgusting that I had to go to school with him. Like, I just don't want anything to do with him. And he definitely did it. I had someone on Facebook tell me that I went to school with, that George Zimmerman called him after doing, because they were friends, and he was crying, and he was like, look what I did something. I don't know if he felt bad, but I know he did it. And it's like, it wasn't an accident. The cops told you not to go after him. You did. So George Zimmerman's still alive. He's alive and well, living his life. Probably not his best life, because he's probably looking over his shoulder, but it's like, why does he get to still be, alive? And I mean, right after Eric Holder did what he did, Black people were mad, and they killed 2 other Black people, family members of Eric Holder's. in retaliation. And I'm like, wow, that was swift. You waste no time when you're bringing justice. You're killing you get to kill other black people because of what Eric Holder did, but George Zimmerman's still walking around, and he's just one of many who do things to black people, and they still get to walk around, like all these unarmed police who kill black people who don't go to jail. Because I've yet to see, I think like one has gone to jail out of like hundreds that I've seen in just like the last couple of years who have killed black people. A lot of them don't go to jail, and they just get to become millionaires because they raise money on GoFundMe, and they go on to live their best lives. They probably doing better than before they killed a black person. It's basically like they get rewarded for killing a black person. So, the self-hatred has to end. The self-hatred, the crime against other black people, it has to stop. It has to stop. Like we're doing nothing but hurting yourself. Nothing but hurting yourself. When you talk down about black people, you're hurting yourself. If you're looking at us if you had this ugly mentality, like this ugly outlook about a black group, like black women or black men, like even black men who are like, well, I don't date black women because they're too black or they're too loud, or, if you group us all together and you don't like us, or if you have an issue with black children, oh, they're ghetto or they don't listen, that's ultimately hurting you as a black person, just period. Like, I don't know if you understand that or see that, but it does. It does absolutely hurt you. People who are seeing you probably looking at you like you're crazy, and if they're not black, they're taking happiness in the fact that we just cannot get ourselves together. But I do believe we're turning the corner on that. I do believe that this black unity and black intelligence era and this black movement is moving in a wonderful, wonderful direction. I think it's a force to be reckoned with, and I do think it's something that cannot be stopped. So I'm going to show this last video, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, my video up. This is a video with T.I. talking to Kodak Black. And the reason I want to show this video is to show people that not all African Americans are ghetto with no culture, who are disrespectful and have no damn sense. Some of us have sense and are very intelligent. And I would probably say, I don't know if it's the majority of us, but a lot of us who don't get a platform, because white supremacy is not going to give you a platform if you're black and intelligent and woke. So you're not going to hear from us. So now that we have social media, the internet and social media, we finally have a voice. We finally can speak out on our own behalf. And that's why Black Media Matters, hashtag Black Media Matters, hashtag Black representation matters. And that's why it's important for us to speak out. Good Black people out there who have something positive to say about Blacks, who love Black people, who are for Black liberation, who know that Black people are intelligent and you're intelligent. You need to create a video. I say create a channel and continue Nipsey's work and his legacy of uplifting the Black community and just, speaking out against white supremacy and making your Black race stronger overall. So I task you with that. I do believe that the more voices, the better. There's too much ignorance being allowed to be thrown out there into the universe. And it's like, no, absolutely not. The intelligent voices, Black intelligent voices, have to be heard. So let me go ahead and do this video so I can wrap my video up because it's getting too long, and I will talk to you guys in a minute.
Alright, man, the internet right now is going crazy over this comment that Kodak Black said about Lauren London. I'm going to play exactly what he said, and I'm going to get to T.I. now coming out responding, to Kodak Black, putting him in his place. So here goes Kodak Black, and we're going to talk about this.
Lauren London, that baby though, she finna be out here single. She finna be a whole widow out here. I'd be the best man I could be, fuck. I'd give her a whole year. She might need a whole year to be crying and shit. To too soon, but though, I ain't trying to shoot at her. I'm saying, listen, look. No, she could do 2-3 years, but I just try to be that. I try to be like, if you need a friend to holler her, show the me,
Insert T.I. T.I. jumps on his Instagram to drop this video going at Kodak Black. This came up a few moments ago. Check this out.
Hey, Kodak Black.
You out of pocket, nigga. Fix that shit. Quickly. Expeditiously. Nigga. You out of pocket, nigga. Ain't nobody else gonna say it, nigga. I done said it to you, nigga. And if I see you, I'm gonna say it in your face, nigga. You out of pocket, nigga. Get your motherfucking self together.
Shame that they got social media right now, and it's a shame that somebody was actually recording, and it's a shame that Kodak Black actually fixed his mouth to say that. Now, T.I. dropped this video less than an hour ago. G-checking him, whatever you want to call it, pretty much being a man that's standing up and saying, look, man, you out of pocket for even making reference to this man, you know, his wife being a widow. And then you heard what he said. He went on to say a few more things, you know, about that. I'm going to reserve my comment, you know, for this one. I want to hear what y'all got to say, you know, about this in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about Kodak Black, what he said. Was it too crazy? Was it not? Do you think it was disrespectful? And also, what do y'all think about T.I. stepping up, releasing this video on Instagram? Because they already know once you put these videos out that people are going to run with them, and that just is what it is. So once you publish it, these guys know what they're doing. But I want to hear what y'all got to say about this. I'm going to be reading the comments, you know what I mean, all night, you know, because I definitely want to hear what y'all got to say. But anyway, you know, that kind of is what it is. Make sure you go ahead and share this.
All right, guys. So that's the end of my video. I just wanted to show ignorance, Black ignorance, people being ignorant, and Black intelligence stepping in and basically squashing that. And we need more of that. I don't feel that Black people being ignorant and acting like dumbasses in public and on TV and just for the whole world to see. And if these people are like Kodak Black, are influencing our children and probably other adults as well. Unfortunately, I don't know who supports Kodak Black, but I have no clue what his music sounds like, or really I wouldn't even know who he was if I didn't follow the news. But he is influencing Black children. I'm pretty sure that's mainly his base. And that's problematic to me, that my sons, for instance, will be looking at this guy and thinking he's a role model. He's not a role model. He's, you know, all that money he's put on his leg needs to be in the stock market and buying property so that it can actually work for him. He's probably been robbed or is going to be robbed, which is just ignorant. I can't believe Black people even still do this. I don't really care if other races of people do it because we're not winning right now. So it's like we have to step our game up so we can win and we can get out of this oppression that we're in and this slavery that we're in and this bad times that we're in and this impoverished lifestyle that we have to live in. And that's being perpetuated by people like Kodak Black, who he's basically a paid slave. I mean, we know he doesn't own his masters. We could just assume that. We know he's working for a white-owned, Jewish-owned record label. And we know that they're paying him to act like a straight clown. And it's not entertaining, you know, and it's just not, it's not entertaining. It's not cute. And it's kind of annoying because we see more of people like Kodak Black on TV because, like I said, white supremacy is happy to elevate these people and give them a platform to reach the masses so that they can influence our children and our children can grow up. Like my 14-year-old told me he wanted to grow up and be a rapper. And I was like, absolutely not. You're going to grow up and be, he was like, well, one of my friends said I sound like a rapper. No, you know, he said one of his friends said he could be a good rapper. And I said, no, because I never heard him rap a day in my life. And I'm like, he only said that to you because you're Black. You can also be an attorney. You can also be a doctor. You can also be a stockbroker. You know, you can also be a real estate investor. You can be an entrepreneur. Like, there's so many, a businessman. You can start a business. Like, there's so many things he can do. Rapping is not the end all. And there's nothing against rapping, but why do we always just go into entertainment? Like, what am I, your tap dancer, your puppet? Like, is that what I'm here for? Is just a tap dancer, white folks? Like, nah, I'm good off that. So, so T.I. did a great job. I'm really happy he came and said something because we need to start checking these little bitches who like to come out and say ignorant things to our people. Lauren London is mourning. She's grieving the loss of an incredible man and her lover and her king. And Kodak Black, shut the fuck up and stay out of that. We don't care about you. Future, stop trying to compare yourself to Nipsey Hussle. You'll never be him. Your mindset is you're mentally enslaved. You're on drugs. You're looking crazy. So you're never going to be Nipsey Hussle. So with that, and I also wanted to say I love how T.I. has transformed. Like I said before, none of us are perfect, but like I told a friend, someone on my friends list on Facebook, this guy, I do follow him. He's very intelligent. And like I told him, because he was talking about when he was a kid, he used to make mistakes like Nipsey Hussle. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you don't redeem yourself and I'm sorry, he didn't say Nipsey Hussle. He used to make mistakes like Kodak Black. But if you don't redeem yourself, if Kodak Black died today, I don't think a lot of people will mourn him, because it's like, it's almost like, thank you for one less, house Negro being in this world trying to help oppress Black people. And I don't care if that sounds mean. And he took it as I was saying, I want him dead. I didn't say I wanted him dead. Like, I don't want any Black person to die. I don't feel like I'm God, or that I have that power to want to do that to another human being. I was saying that if he passed away like Nipsey Hussle did, I know that he won't be elevated and mourned and grieved, and the pain just won't be there. People won't feel some significant loss for a Kodak Black to die, because it's like, kind of like, thank you for taking this person out of this world who was actually helping to kill others. Just like Future, he has one song, the Dr. Boy's Wack has said, because I don't listen to their music. I don't listen to mainstream music, because I feel like it is there to brainwash us to make poor choices, and I won't support it. I refuse to support it. But Dr. Boyce Watkins said that Future had a song that was just Molly Percocet. Like, those were the lyrics, and it was just over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, there's no way in hell my 5 sons are listening to that crap. Like, I don't play rap music in my house. I don't have BET. I haven't paid for cable probably the majority of my adult life. Not even probably the majority of my adult life, I have not had cable. My sons, we've been watching Netflix since before it became the thing to do. They call it cord cutting now, but we've been watching like our streaming video since like, oh my gosh, like the 2009 or 2010. Like, it's been at least a decade that we've been doing this, because I just was sick of cable. It cost too much. There was never anything worthwhile on, and I did not want my sons watching BET. BET used to be Black owned, but once a white person bought that media, that's what white people do. We build stuff and then we sell it to white folks. I don't know why we do that. They don't sell shit to us. Keep ownership of your stuff. I don't care if it's the smallest little company in the world and they're going to give you $1 billion. Keep ownership of your stuff. Unless you're about to build something even bigger with that money they give you. But to my knowledge, this guy did not do anything extra since BET. He didn't build another platform that was even bigger than BET. He just kind of fell off the earth somewhere. I don't know where he is, but I'm talking about the Black guy that created BET. So once I learned that it was white owned and I saw music going downhill and what was being promoted, like if you watched BET when I was a kid, like a teenager, if you watched BET at night, like late hours, it became like soft porn. So yeah, when I became a mother, I was kind of like, nah, I'm good off that. I'm not, my sons aren't watching no BET. It's a lot of booty shaking. It's a lot of stanking stuff going on. And I didn't want them to hear the N-word. We don't use the N-word in my home. I didn't want them to learn about drugs and just hearing about sex. Because I feel like a lot of Black people, we are having sex very irresponsibly. We're not getting married enough. We're having babies with a lot of different people, and it's like, who's left to raise these kids? And, so I just wanted different for my sons. I kind of, as soon as I learned, like a lot of the things I learned as an adult, I quickly put it I implemented it into my son's life. I put it into reality, because I was like, the buck stops here. It stops with this generation. My sons I'm literally putting everything into them and putting all my faith and everything, hard work, everything into them, to pray that this next generation will be the generation that really continues what we've started, what my generation has started, and just uplift us into full freedom, into full liberation. Like, just be amazing and push us forward. Like, Nipsey Hussle was from that. He was 33. He wasn't from that next generation, but he was younger than me. And he was the epitome of what I want my sons to be when they grow up. He was just he was successful. His rap music actually had some meaning to it. It wasn't just do drugs and drink and do drugs. If you really listen to the lyrics, he was actually saying some pretty deep stuff in there. And you had to be, I guess, conscious and kind of like more awake to really see what he was saying on another. He was basically saying stuff on a higher level. Like, he was saying somehow he wanted to own his masters because he doesn't want to be working for no slave masters. And it was lyrics like that that just really drew me in. And it's not to say that he was always perfect, but he definitely evolved, because people like Malcolm X wasn't always perfect, but he evolved to become Malcolm X. And just, that's who we remember. He had this huge impact, because Malcolm X is actually my favorite activist, alive or dead. He's just incredible. And I really kind of put Nipsey Hussle right there, up there with him, because he just affected so many lives. And his death, I think it was to try to disrupt the movement and stop us. But if anything, I feel like it's propelled us forward even more. And it just kind of made it even more dire that we get these reparations, because it's like, we shouldn't have felt Nipsey Hussle's death as hard as we did. But the reason why the Black community feels it so hard is because there's not enough people like him. For one, we're not creating enough Nipsey Hussles, and we're poor, and we're kind of putting all of our eggs in one basket. We're kind of just really putting our hope and prayers into this one person, and just trying to. I mean, a lot of us are working really hard, but it's really hard to find a person that actually comes out of our creation, who is actually doing the work and basically becoming that Messiah, that we need to save us. So it's like, we need to really work harder to create more Messiahs at one time. Like, it would have been wonderful to have like 1 million Nipsey Hussles, so that doesn't mean we would be like not hurt that he's gone, but it wouldn't hurt us at the point where you're almost feeling like hopeless. Like, now what? He's gone. Like, now nothing's going to get done. We're going to fall back into bad times and poverty, and Black people just shooting each other and acting crazy, because he was trying to end like gang violence. He was just doing like a lot of great things for Black people. And I literally still feel his loss. Like, I have cried. I feel a void. I feel like something is really missing from this world now that he's gone. That's how I feel. And I feel sad that we have so much invested in this one person, when all of us can be Nipsey Hussle. All of us can be that level of greatness. I do believe in that. I do believe that Black people have that in us to be that great, and we've got to stop falling to mainstream crap that's owned by white people to tell us who we are. They don't know the fuck we are. Actually, they do know who we are, and that's why they're working so hard to keep us from knowing who we are. We don't know who we are. And we are Africans. We are the original people. We are the Hebrew Israelites. We are the chosen people. We are the builders of this world. We have given birth to every race on this earth. We are the mother and father of civilization. We came before everybody. White people are only 6,000 years old. A lot of people don't know that. They were the youngest race. They were the last race to be made. And like, I had this epiphany years ago that basically the reason why this world is such a hot mess is because we, the Black people, are the parents, but we are allowing the children to run this world. And that's why this world is a fucking mess. There is war everywhere. There is starvation, there is poverty, there is hatred, there is murdering, there's, just a lot of instability, and it's just gross. And you've got like maybe 5 families that have all the wealth, like 5 white families that have all the wealth in this world, and while everyone else is just struggling, looking crazy. So that being said, I'm gone, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until I see you again, take care of yourselves and each other, or until I talk to you again. I'm sorry. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace, love, and light. I'm gone.